When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny Gane, are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Manifest It Now. I'm here with Cassie Parks.
And I'm here with Ginny Gane.
And this week, we're going to be talking about how you can help your friend who might be in a bad relationship.
Yes. I feel like this is
We've
a topic.
We've all been there.
Yeah. Yeah, we all know someone, right, that hasn't been in like the best relationship, and you can see it when you're on the outside of it, right? And see it might be a little bit like you want better for your friend, generally is how that goes. Yeah.
And it seems so obvious to people on the outside. And we're going to talk about what you can do. And if you've been listening for a while, you know the answer isn't to try to fix someone, but what can you do? How can we really stay in our power and support someone we love in this way who's in this situation?
Yes. But first, I was going to ask
what
you,
are you excited about? Well, I'll share first. I'm very excited about my new, clean, detailed car.
Oh, amazing.
Not only because it's like awesome, just, I love that feeling, but it was really cool the way it happened on Sunday. Last week, the space opened up for it while I was waiting for it. Got to talk to one of my friends and catch up with her, and it was a beautiful day out, and the people who were doing the car were happy, and I felt abundant being able to do that, and there was music, and it was just like all this goodness around it. So yes, having the car, but also because it was just an awesome experience.
Yay, that's awesome.
Yeah. What are you excited about?
Our deck is done, and I'm just excited. Like, we finished the last lights last night, like twinkle lights over one of the eating areas, and it's just fun to do it, and it's fun to have it done. And it's also fun to know, we're going to make some changes, or we're going to add a different railing. But it's complete for now, and to really step into, I'm going to enjoy everything it is right now, even though I might want to upgrade it later.
I mean, that's a skill in itself, to be able to find that balance of enjoying where it is now and knowing that there's more that you want to do with it.
Yes, I would say that's like a skill that becomes crucial to manifesting like amazing things.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start with our topic?
Where should we start? Well, I mean, we kind of start with the introduction. Like, everybody knows, everybody's had that experience, I feel like, where you're sitting there watching someone that you love, and it can be a friend, it can be a family member, it can be whatever, in a relationship where you're like, you deserve better. Mm-hmm. Why don't you see that? And I think maybe this is a great place to start. I feel like most people, until you have highly trained yourself, your first reaction is, why don't I tell them? Like, I'm just going to tell them how much better they deserve.
My job is to tell them.
I love that you added that, right? My job. Clearly, they can't do this on their own because they're not. So my job must be to tell them all the things that I see that are wrong and all the reasons they should get out of this relationship, and tell them what they're worth, which on the surface seems like you're being really helpful.
Yeah, somewhere along the way, we have been told that being a good friend involves this part, is pointing out what they're not seeing, all the negative things they're not seeing in the relationship, and feel it's our responsibility to point that out. And that we take it as far sometimes as saying, I'm not a good friend if I let them suffer.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to think that you have control, or you're responsible for their suffering. Even just saying that.
Right. That
it's so disempowering to them.
It is, because you're basically saying, I'm I am more responsible for you than you are.
And I know better. I know what's better for you than you do. And I can hear the rebuttals like coming back, like, guys, they're complaining about it, and they're saying why they're not happy and why it's not good, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. What would you say to that?
I would say that doesn't mean it's your job to fix it. Mm-hmm. You know, just if so you get to, I think there's a couple different things here, so that we might want to cover this one first is, you don't have to listen if you're tired of it, and not putting a boundary around what you're going to listen to is different than telling someone else what they're going to do. So if your answer when you're listening to us is like, but my friend is always complaining about XYZ, right? It is perfectly okay to say, hey, I've noticed about 50% of our conversation is you complaining about your relationship. I am okay if you want to be in that relationship, but I no longer want to hear about how bad it is.
Do you know how hard that is for people to
so
say that? Yeah.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable, but you know, what is more uncomfortable is either like tolerating that and or then like building it up and coming back at your friend one time like, you are like, you know, and saying, just all this like, what's all wrong, right? Mm-hmm. But it is so empowering to say, I don't want to listen, because it's about you, right? Mm-hmm. And it is it's a little slightly different thing than wanting to help, but I think you have to figure out which issue, which thing is going on for you. So if you're like, well, they're complaining about it all the time, then you can say that in a gentle, loving way, like, hey, this happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And like, if you want to stay in it, that's okay with me, but I don't want to hear about it. I'm not going to be the dumping ground because you need to dump all this stuff that's happening to you. I'm more than willing to talk about XYZ or go do these fun things with you, but I'm not going to listen to this relationship anymore unless you want. I'll always be here to support you if you decide you want something different. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to listen to it anymore. Yeah.
And that will get likely, because your friend is coming from if they're coming from a place of complaining, they're coming from that place of more so victimhood and being hurt. And so it's okay that if they have a negative response to that, to you putting up that boundary, and they might then, you know, turn on you for a second, that's okay. They'll come back. Like, your friendship is likely more important to them than like their defenses going up, and they might just need space or time to realize that. But this is actually one of the most powerful ways you can help your friend in this way, is by you setting your boundary about what kind of conversations you want to have around this. Because even if it has a little bit of bumps along the way, so they get that, oh, she doesn't, you know, or even a judgment. She's not listening to me. She's not hearing me. She's not a good friend. Those are all coming from hurt and pain, and none of that, your true intentions will be felt. You just got to give it space. Yeah.
I think what you just said, I want to highlight. Your true intentions will be felt if you give it space. Mm-hmm. So if you go in and you're not trying to, if you are trying to be kind and both honor yourself and your friend, which is your true intentions in this situation, basically, right? It's to, you know, protect you and to support them. That will be felt later. And I think that's just so important to highlight. That can be felt, maybe not at the initial reaction, but down the road when it comes from a true intention and a good intention, a feel-good intention, that will be felt.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the most powerful parts when you're setting boundaries with your friends in the situation is like verbally acknowledging what you want for them. So saying like, I really want you to be happy in your relationship, and I've noticed that it's all just complaining, and I would really love to talk about something else, or if that can be a secondhand subject or something.
Yeah. Or it could even be, can we talk about something else? Or is there anything good in your relationship? Like, here's the thing that might be going on, is that some people have been trained. We are trained, we've said it on the show before.
Yeah.
For the most part, we are generally trained to connect in complaining.
Yeah.
And not connect in the good stuff. We have to train ourselves and then those around us to connect in the good stuff. So it very well could be that this person has just been trained by all the people around her or him to complain so that you have a way to connect. Right? And a lot of families are like this. And a lot of friends are like this, right? They connect over that complaint. And so they might actually just be complaining to connect. They might be picking out all the bad stuff when there's this whole like treasure trove of good stuff that you don't get to hear about.
Because they want to connect with you, and that's the way they know how to do it. Yeah.
So I would back up and even maybe give them that option. Like, is there good stuff in your relationship? Because I would love to hear about that. Mm-hmm. And if there's nothing that you want to share that's good, like maybe we talk about, give them a topic, but be aware that maybe you're even reading the situation wrong.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. The other thing I want to bring in is there anything else you want to say on that, Cass?
No, I think I'm good for that.
The other thing that like really feels important to share around this subject is in terms of us pointing out what's wrong with their relationship or telling them what we're seeing is you can't give someone self-awareness. Okay. It is self-awareness for a reason. And I can't count the amount of times that things have been obvious, and I'll use myself as an example. Things have been very obvious to other people, and they have told me clearly that I don't see this. What do you see in this person? This isn't right, blah, blah, blah. And even though I was hearing the words, they were in no way sinking because I wasn't ready. It wasn't a self-awareness. It was somebody putting what they see on me. It wasn't mine. And so, and I'm sure anyone listening can relate in terms of like telling someone else or have been told this isn't right for you. And until we see it, until we know it inside us, nothing changes.
Right. And I want to do the other side of that coin. Like what you're saying is people could hear it and maybe you weren't even getting mad. You just, you like, it went in one ear and out the other, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But for some people, that actually creates, for them to dig in deeper into that relationship.
That's 100% what happened.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, you don't think this is right? Well, I know what's better for me, so I'm going to keep doing this.
Right. And I am going to like stay here longer. And I'm going to I'm going to find ways it's great. And what happens is in your brain, if you are that person who's been told that, you start to like go into defense mode. And then you have to, you're turning your beacon, right? You're turning your focus like, oh, I'm going to find all the good stuff. And I'm going to just like tout it and I'm going to put it on Facebook and I'm going to do, I'm going to tell them like, oh my gosh, this person is so amazing. And what you're actually doing when that happens and you tell someone that and they dig in deeper to defend it, you push them further from figuring out what's really going on.
And you actually disconnect them from you as a friend. Yeah. Like I do remember I would get together with friends that I know didn't support my relationship, and I would do exactly what Cass said. Like I would I'd point out, I'd casually bring into conversation how wonderful my partner was because I'm trying to justify their goodness. And that's all fake. It's all superficial. It's nothing about that is real. There's not a true connection or friendship there. And so when that is present, you don't get the real stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the opposite experience, how you can help your friend is to be a friend like Cassie was to me. So through all the relationships, I was thinking about this before we jumped on, that Cass, you were probably the only person who never shared your opinions about my relationships with me.
Even though, let me say, sometimes that took all my, like, oh, you're gonna stay in this relationship? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, great. Yeah. You should go do that then if that's what feels good to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember actually even after being like, why didn't you tell me? Like, you know,
Right.
and well, what was your answer?
You wouldn't have heard me, and it wouldn't have helped you.
Yeah. And it only would have created a gap between Cass and I.
Right.
Because because your friends can feel what you think. and so even if it's not expressed in words, like feeling acceptance from your friend when you genuinely feel like this person. So even though it was hard for Cass and there was a part of her that was like, what is she doing? There was a part of her, probably an equal part, that was like, oh, she needs to do this for whatever reason. And so that's what you want to communicate to your friend, is you want to communicate that that's acceptance for where they are on their path. Mm-hmm. And I can't highlight enough how we aren't ready to grow or to change or to make those decisions until we're ready. And it is all inside of you. There's nothing outside of you that no one can give it to you. No one can make that happen for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I have this one incident in my head where I'm like, okay, yeah, go back. And I fully let you, like, not let you, but I didn't try and talk you out of it, because I knew if you were making that decision, this is something you needed to do for you. And
without knowing any without knowing why.
Right. And I, maybe you didn't even know why, right?
No,
but
I did not.
It is what you needed to do. But what it allowed was the space also, because in this one particular incident that I'm thinking of, like, you came right back. Mm-hmm. You know, like, we were hanging out together. Yeah. But if I had said, don't go, like, that's a bad idea, I don't think that's a good choice, this is our, you know, if I had really, and in that case for me, like, I don't even really let myself go down. I could think of all the things now, but in that moment, like, I didn't even come up with all the reasons, because there's no point. Like, why do I even need to have those in my head? Yeah, I need to trust you in what you're doing, right? Yeah. But if I had, for whatever reason, let myself go to all the reasons and tried to explain to you and tried to tell you what I thought, and don't do this, and these are all the reasons I don't think this is a great idea, it would have been, you would have tried harder when it was falling apart. And you wouldn't have had the person to come back to, like, to support the transition out of that. Yep,
100%. That's a good point of how so the time that you spend when you're not with this friend is, I would say, more important in terms of how you're thinking about them or what you're thinking about than the time you're with them. Because when you're not with them, when you're thinking about what's going on in their life and how they're doing, you're feeding those stories, you're creating that reality, you're adding energy there, and that is what's setting you up to interact with them. That's what they're going to feel. So if you truly want to come from a supportive, accepting place for them, you have to pay attention to how you're thinking about them and their situation when you're not with them.
Right. Which is not
feeding.
Yeah, not feeding it, not thinking about how bad it is, not thinking about how you're going to convince them, not thinking about how you're going to do this, but really letting them, like trusting them. I think that's one of the biggest things is our mistakes. Like, for some reason we are taught, like, we love people when we keep them from getting hurt. Yeah. You know, and it's probably primal. Like, that was
going to say, no one likes to see anyone hurt, right?
Right. Well,
so we try to,
Oh, go ahead.
No, keep going.
Oh, I was going to say, from, like, I can see from caveman period, right? Like, telling someone like, don't go where the lions are. I just saw the lions.
Yes.
was love. But now we're evolved and that's not it. And so sometimes we need to let our people go into what we think is the lion's den. It's just a bad relationship. They're going to learn. Mm-hmm. They're likely going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And they are more likely to be okay and to thrive if you support them in your heart, even if they walk in that space.
Yeah. Because especially they're going to need you more when they are ready. And then you can be powerfully there to meet them versus having gone, I don't want to say down, but having gone on the drama trail with them, you can hold the space for them.
Yes.
You could have been in alignment the whole time.
Right. And you don't have to, I was going to say, like, there's nothing to, because you said all the things and you were quote unquote right. There's no, like, they don't have to work through that. Like, oh, they're going to judge me. They're going to this. Like, no, they've supported me. Like, they're going to support me now. Right? Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a totally different feeling to not have people telling you their opinions about your life and your decisions in your relationships. And I'm saying that as a receiver. And it feels better to not give opinions about another's relationship because you don't know what's right for them. Nobody but them does. And it feels so good to honor that, like to stay in that place.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a supportive friend.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to wrap up with, Cass?
I think anything else I would say at this point would just start a whole nother show. So, no.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Hey, it's Ginny. Cass and I talk a lot about alignment being essential to manifesting. So if you're curious how to measure your own level of alignment, I created a quiz for you. Pop over to my website at ginnygane.com. That's GINNYGANE.com and check it out. Oh, and definitely have fun with it.
Go be awesome.
Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.